Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Married to Sports podcast. I'm your host, Brandon. With me, as always, I have Rodney and Corey, the old man. How you guys doing today?
We're doing good. At least I
Not
am.
too shabby.
You are? I had a good week. I'm winning. My predictions were not as great as I was hoping. Straight up, I did all right, beating the spread. I have a winning record. I have a winning record in fantasy football as of right now. So it was a pretty good week for me.
Same here, but
It was not that good.
it's all subject to change.
No, I'm just saying this week was not. I was 8-8 on the spread, which is okay, 500. But my fantasy league, if it wasn't for Derrick Henry, it would have even been worse. He actually saved my. I still lost, but I didn't get blown out.
Well, I forgot that Bass was hurt, the kicker. I rode with the kicker, a hurt kicker on the fantasy league, and I still won, so that's a good day.
That's the thing with our fantasy. We didn't do. We don't have kickers. We added an extra wide receiver slash running back that we could have in there, and yeah. So thank goodness I didn't have a kicker after watching the kickers over the weekend. It was kind of sickening.
Yeah, the special teams play this weekend was not. I was not too thrilled with. I had Chase McLaughlin from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He missed an extra point and a field goal. The U kid for Atlanta, he missed a couple extra points. Or I'm sorry, he missed a couple field goals. And one of the things I do weekly, it's a weekly fantasy, and they don't have kickers. If you do a showdown, you can put a kicker in, but in this other league, I was expecting to have two running backs, three receivers, and a flex, and I only drafted one kicker, so I kind of shot myself in the foot. But I got really lucky with the Colts
Well,
defense.
there you yeah. That would have been. Did you guys see that Moody got released from San Fran?
Yeah, I thought he was done a year ago. I was really surprised that he was back.
Well, my thing was I was surprised he was the first kicker released. Honestly, out of all the kickers over the weekend.
And I said the Falcons signed a new kicker to their practice squad, so I expect them to be releasing their main kicker.
I think he'll be on a pretty
Well,
good deal this week.
I think so too. I mean, with the new balls and stuff, but last night I got on, and here's something because I'd heard on your podcast, Brandon, or Rodney's, and then I heard on Mando's podcast or live. I was hearing, different things about offensive linemen and stuff. So I was on with Tony Mandridge when his live last night, and I asked him. I asked him his thoughts, and I asked him if he thought wrestlers. When you get into high school, junior high, and high school, you can wrestle in Illinois. I'm sure it's that way where you guys are.
You can start younger here,
But
yeah.
I always, as an offensive line coach, I always liked my linemen wrestling because it taught them balance. It teaches them a lot of stuff that you can use in football. And I asked him if, hey, do you think that makes better linemen? He says it might not make better linemen. He goes, but it sure in the heck does not hurt. And, they were talking about the Ravens guard that's like 6'9" that was getting blown by Oliver the other night. And that's what I was thinking is like, these wrestling goes hand in hand with football. Especially if you play the offense or defensive line.
One of the things that kind of irritates me about coaches now, and like when I got into college, we weren't allowed to do intramural. They don't want you to risk injury and all that other stuff. But to be honest with you, like being out there playing basketball with my friends, playing baseball, playing soccer, playing golf, doing all this stuff, it made me better at the other sports. Like the more sports I picked up, the better I got at the ones I was already playing. because your hand-eye coordination is
I agree with that.
different.
We
You're
have a
using different parts of your brain, or you're using different parts of your muscles. You're getting different parts of your muscles sore. You're getting those worked up, um, and so it kind of irritates me that we try to shy kids away from playing multiple sports. Hey, just focus on this one. When the reality is, you play others and you get better at the one you're already playing. You get different trainings, different
I to-
techniques, different breathing exercises. It all correlates.
well, you coach volleyball, Brandon. You're doing coaching your
What's
daughter's
over with, but
volleyball.
I did, yeah.
You know, she can. Well, you did. What I'm saying is, you coach volleyball. Well, she can use that what she learns in volleyball to help her in basketball if she wants to play
Right.
basketball. And that's the nowadays, like in where I live, it's been notorious of that. Like if you were on the basketball team, you didn't play football. Now it's not that way, but no, now we have a baseball coach that tells these kids, you're not going to get a scholarship in football. You might as well just stick with baseball.
But ultimately, there is a point that you have to decide on one sport because if you know you're going to be getting scholarships, you got to start honing that craft more. Don't y'all agree?
I mean, and that's what you do, but you don't. Like that's what I'm saying. Like when you get up in the upper echelon, right? Like you're playing in college, it turns into a full time job. So guys that play multiple sports in college, like my hat goes off to them because it was hard. It was hard enough to play the one.
Mhm.
In high school and lower levels, it's a little different. We had a flag football. That was the only football that was offered at Oklahoma Christian, and so just being able to do the intramural when we don't have games and stuff going on would have been cool. But like when you're up at those at the upper echelon, you're really trying to get to the next level, and your competition it's really night and day difference when you make that jump. It's a big jump from high school to college,
Yeah.
and I imagine it's even bigger jump from college to pro. I mean, you hear pro athletes talk about you
Yeah.
hear different athletes talk about the jump, there is a jump. It's a jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something that, like Brandon said, when they get to college, that's more understandable. But when kids are in junior high and high school, the seasons are stretched out to allow these kids to play multiple sports if they want to. And look at perfect example of somebody, Joe Mauer, the catcher for the Twins. When he was a senior in high school, he was the Minnesota Gatorade Player of the Year in football and in baseball. He had a chance to go to be a Division I quarterback or sign a contract as a first rounder with the Minnesota Twins. Obviously, he went with the Twins, and the rest is history. But there's not a lot of kids like that, and but I mean, I think it hurts the kids because, like Brandon says, you use muscles that you don't use necessarily in the other sport. Different kinds of things, but the hand-eye coordination, the footwork. I mean, every sport you have to have both of those.
And honestly, like when I would go practice football or basketball or tennis or any of those other ones, well, our tennis kind of messed up my swing a little bit, and so I had to retrain my body both times, but that was a little different. But the my batting would get better if that made any sense. Like my vision for the baseball would get better. My being able to read what the pitcher was going to
That
do got easier, and it was just
yeah.
from being able to see different looks from different sports. It helped me pick up little things throughout the game that you might not pick up from film.
All right, you being the baseball player, you you said something, and I'm gonna ask you this. I always hear like when you have the home run derbies and all this, those special competitions like that, how it can mess up your swing for going into the back into the regular season. Is that true? Like, as far as the mentality?
I mean, I've never been in a home run derby, right? I would imagine that if you're in the home run derby and you got to play in the All Star game, right, and you're used to seeing watermelons, right? Because when they're throwing those pitches for the home run derby, they're getting anywhere from 70 to 80 miles an hour. They want to have enough velocity on it to where when you have enough velocity on your bat, you can get them over. They're not trying to strike these guys out. So when you see 85 miles an hour and then you see Paul Skeen at 103, yeah, it's going to look different. It's going to look a lot different. Um, but I don't know. Like I know Cal Raleigh was in the home run derby.
Right.
I don't know what Cal Raleigh did to get prepared for the home run derby. Does that make sense?
It
Like
does.
if he knew he was going to be in it those 2 weeks before he was in it, did he start looking at like watermelons coming down the plate, or did he play those full 2 weeks and just saw regular pitches, and then when he got his chance to hit watermelons, he just crushed them?
That's a fair point. I just always thought about that because it just seems weird how historically you look at some of these stats after the run derby thing when they participate, their averages and power go down some. So I was just curious about
I
that.
mean, and that might be based on the individual player. 182 games is a long time.
Yep.
It's a long time for anybody. I don't care who you are. It's a long time, right? And so when you're going day in, day out in the first half of the season, which we know a lot of players don't. That's why the All-Star game, you have those handful of people, and those are really the only ones that you're counting on because they're the only ones that play full season, right? I don't want to say the only ones, but that's why the voting is so hard for the All-Star game, is because you only have a select few players that really, really dig it out like that because they're trying to play the long game, not just trying to play today. Like we have today we worry about, but we also have these next 182 games that we worry about, and so it's a longer race. For me, the swing was hardest. So when you get to that point, you might feel like you accomplished something. See what I'm saying? Maybe Cal Raleigh takes a step back. Hey, I accomplished something. I'm gonna take a breather. Right? Let's get ready for this postseason run. Right? For
Right.
me, the switching of the game was tennis, golf, and baseball. Yeah, you're swinging some kind of something, right? You're swinging a utensil, whether it's a bat, golf club, or tennis racket, right? And the way you swing it and the way you hit the ball is all different, right? So like on my forehand, I'm going to come up through. I'm going to come on a level playing field. I'm going to swoop it up, right? Because I want to put that spin on it because I want to keep it in the court, right? Where a baseball, I'm going right through my wheelhouse, right? And I'm keeping my hips are going, my hands are going, right? But golf, it's a timing thing, and my fingers are overlapped, and it's a complete different swing. So for me, playing the three different swings made it really hard to determine what my swing was really going to be.
And you do hear that a lot with baseball players when they play golf because of the swing, because of the different styles of swing. But, at the home run derby, these guys are trying to launch the ball, obviously higher and farther. So they're hitting the ball trying to swing twice as hard usually. But it can mess up their stroke. I mean, but it just depends on the person. Because they've had people it hasn't messed with them, and they've had people it's messed with. It comes down to the player and the mentality of the player.
Yeah, and I mean, and when I say it messed me up, I don't want to say it messed me up detrimentally, like I was never able to get it back. But it took me, I don't know, a few buckets to feel normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is a different swing. And so for me, like, especially in high school, I hit over 600. And so for me, yeah, it was just a couple buckets to get right back on that train. But I stayed in it.
It's just like me when I was catching. I could catch, a guy that could throw almost 100 miles an hour, and I liked it. Well, then, you get the next pitcher that you're catching, and they can barely throw 70, so you got to do a little different. And then, if you got somebody that throws a knuckleball, that really throws you off. You're like, what? Because that ball, You're like this with that ball,
No, you ain't lying.
and your stances are different.
You get a good knuckleball.
Your stances are different. Oh yeah, I've caught it a couple times, like not a whole game or something, but I've had people that could throw it, and I'm like, there's no way. I said, take me out, coach, if I'm catching a knuckleballer, because it made me look like I'd never caught before.
We had this pitcher. His name was Goody. Stephen Goodrow was his name. We called him Goody. He was the only one that really threw a knuckleball like that. And exactly what you're talking about. He would throw that ball, and you're standing there behind the plate, and you're literally doing this, like, because that thing is just dancing, and you got to watch it all the way in, and you're moving your glove with it, and like I was the only one that could catch Goody, and so I wasn't a catcher very often in high school. I moved when I made the jump from junior high to high school. I made the transition from catcher to third, and so when Goody would pitch, they'd have me go back to catcher. And man, I hated catching that kid. I loved catching him, but I hated catching him at the same time, like because he made me work. Like he would make me work.
Oh, I had one in 8th grade, and he was a lefty, and I ended up calling him Mitch Williams because he was that way. I mean, after one game, I came home, and my cup all around where my cup was sitting, I was bruised.
Yeah,
and,
that was Jose Lopez.
And then I'm done with I'm like,
Garcia,
okay,
Jose Garcia.
I'm
Jose Garcia, not Jose Lopez. Jose Garcia.
And I'm just like, okay, something's got to change here, with him. He could throw fast, but he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, and it's just like, what's the point, And the coach at the time was his dad, so I was like, so I went, and I said something, and he's like, oh, you just got to learn how to catch the ball, and I'm like, okay. So I didn't catch him the next game, and guess what? The other catcher had just as hard a time as I did. I was like, what do you expect?
No, so Jose, he was like that, but his was all junk. He could throw a strike and he could throw a fastball, but he thought he was CC Sabathia with the way he wore his hat and stuff and his attitude. But I would call a fastball, and he wouldn't throw a fastball. He would throw everything but what he said he was throwing. And dude, it would.
That would.
I'd have bruises all up and down my
That
legs.
ticked me off.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I hated catching.
Yeah, you wear padding and stuff, but as a catcher, if you get that feel with a pitcher, you can almost usually tell where that ball, no matter what the pitches they're throwing, where it's going. But you get somebody that like that you have no clue where that ball's going, and it's not like scared like you run away, but you're back there scared to know where the hell's this ball going.
I don't know about scared. It kept I literally had to be on my toes the whole game.
So can we agree that catcher is the ultimate handoff position in baseball?
No.
I mean,
I think it's one of the toughest positions in baseball.
That's what I mean, toughest.
For sure, it is the toughest position in baseball.
I mean, everything's.
I never pitched.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
I never got to pitch. I caught and played third.
I would think a pitcher would be the hardest position.
Now, they could be, but being behind the plate, depending. I mean, because like I said, there are certain pitchers I catch, and I could have caught them with my eyes closed because I knew where the ball was going, no matter how fast it was going.
Yeah. How many times do you hear people yelling
there was
at the
other
catcher
ones
because
that
they
I
lost
was
the game?
Huh?
How many times do you hear them yell at the catcher because they lost the game?
Oh, you don't? Oh, I know. They have the ball all the time. Trust me, I know. I say closer actually would probably be the hardest as a pitcher, just because you have to have a short memory.
Not only that, you got to go get out of somebody
because they're usually in the high. Yeah. So mentally you got to be tough to be a closer.
Yeah, I agree.
You just got to be physically tough to be a catcher.
But
you don't want to be a wussy back there because.
Hey, first base, honest to God, was the only transition I couldn't make. I could
Why
not.
was that?
I don't know. I can catch the ball
I
anywhere else but there.
you know I watched my daughter in softball go from behind the plate to playing first base, and she made the transition smooth. I know that was in softball, but I had an issue with the glove, the first baseman
I don't know
gloves.
what it was. That was the only place that I could not catch the ball.
And it might be because you're actually supposed to stand there with your foot on the bag and reach, and just a different bunch of different things at one time.
I think the reaching is what got me. Trying to do it at reach because
Yeah,
I would step wrong all
yeah,
the time. Because I
yep,
would step towards where
yep,
it looked like the ball should be going. But then we had stupid
yep.
people that couldn't throw the ball. And
Hmm.
it's like, what are you doing? I'm right here. It's pretty easy. Pretty easy to throw from third to first. I
Yeah,
do it all the time. Watch me. I'll show you.
it is. Yeah, you sit there at least because at least when you're a catcher, you're on your both of your toes, and you can slide left and right. When you're a first baseman, you got your foot on the bag. Yeah, you can stretch out, but if you know where the ball's coming, you can stretch out and stuff. But if you don't know where that ball's going, and you start to stretch out, and you're stretching out, and the ball goes right, it's kind of hard to maneuver your body to. It's a tricky position, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't make that transition, but I didn't. I couldn't. We tried it. I tried it for a day, and I gave up on it. That's the only thing I've ever given up on in my life. I was like, Coach, this isn't working for me. And he's like, why? I just
Yeah,
feel dumb. I feel dumb as hell right here.
well, Brandon, playing third base, I got to ask you this question. Well, after high school got over, I obviously I wasn't an athlete to be able to go to college and stuff like that. But so I started playing slow pitch softball, and the first time I went out in the field, I went to third base, and I decided to stay in like I did in baseball, the same spot until the first rocket came at me, and then I was like, "Yep, I need to take a couple steps back."
No, we played. That was one of the things that I could catch a ground ball at first. I could catch a ground ball at third. Going from catcher to third and catcher to first, you had so much longer to react, right? So getting to
Yes.
my spot, getting where I needed to go, that was the easiest thing in the world for me because I had a head start. And for the first time in my life, I had a head start. But for some reason, seeing that ball come across the diamond is completely different.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, the reason I said that with the softball is because obviously, you got big guys out there hitting the ball. I mean, you have big guys in baseball, but it just seemed like with that aluminum bat, it just was like that ball gets to you so quick. You're just like, what the heck?
Yeah, no, it comes hot.
That's what
I refuse to be a pitcher in slow pitch.
I really did.
I refuse.
I really did hate when my coach would call us all to come in double play depth, and I had to have my toes on the grass. I'm not gonna lie, like there was times like I hated being on that hot corner. That thing would come smoking hot. Luckily, I was blessed, but I don't know how I did it. Being real.
Yeah, I love watching. That's probably my favorite thing is watching third baseman, the way they react and the way they throw. I think because I've played it, I have a fond, respect for them, watching those good defensive third basemen because, I mean, especially when they're up in double play depth or they're expecting a bunt, their reaction time has got to be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and like I would play closer. I would play closer to the bag. I'm right-handed, but for some reason I had a harder time going backhand than I did forehand. I really don't know why. But I could go to my left easier than I could go to my right.
Yeah, see, mine was the different. I liked going to my left better, but when you went to your left and tried the backhand, you didn't have
My left
your
was
body
my
was out of
forehand.
position.
My glove is on my left hand. My left is
Yeah.
my forehand. It's not my backhand. Right is my
Yeah.
backhand. which is where third base would be, I would play closer to the bag
Yeah,
because I could get left easier than I could get right.
So ultimately,
I always play close to the third base just so I didn't get the ball line down the
Well,
field.
yeah, that I had help. You have help with a shortstop.
Yeah, you got the shortstop, and that's usually one of your faster people, glove wise, who's playing short. So that's a good thing.
2 steps and a dive. That's all I got. If you get it past me on that, you're
Yeah.
good.
all
Yep,
right.
that was the
So
thing.
today's Wednesday. We got a football game to talk about
No, we're not talking
tomorrow.
about any football games.
All
No, you
right.
didn't do your homework last night. I'm so mad at you.
Uh-oh. What was his homework,
Y'all was
Brandon?
both had homework. What do you mean? I watched both WNBA games. What are y'all
Well,
talking about?
oh, the WNBA games? Oh, I already had my homework on that. By the way, the Vegas team won again last
Was that
night.
15 in a row?
15 in a row.
LV, baby.
Dude, I don't care what league you're in, what kind of professional league you're in. 15 games in a row, and Aja Wilson, if she hasn't locked up the MVP vote right now, it's rigged.
She's got to be the MVP.
That's all I'm saying.
She's got to be.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, it is watching her. She has the smoothest mid-range shot I've seen,
Yeah.
and that's
She's
perfect.
dominating the paint. She gets her teammates going. She does the dirty work. There's not a whole lot that Asia Wilson really doesn't do. I'm really impressed with her. I didn't get to watch the Las Vegas game. That's the only game I didn't get to see last night. I got to
So
see the Mystics, and I got to see the Fever take on somebody.
the Fever took on the Lynx, I think,
Yeah, the
Minnesota.
Minnesota Lynx. Yeah.
And I did get to catch the tail end of that game. And Indiana had control of that game from start to end.
Yeah, they did. They really did. And to be honest with you, looking at the Minnesota Lynx record going into that game, they're one of the top tier teams in the WNBA right now. I didn't expect with Indiana being without Caitlin Clark to beat them in the fashion that they did, but they did dominate that game. They had a couple guards that were shooting pretty lights out. Um, I wasn't. It was a pretty low scoring game. I mean, I guess compared to an NBA game, which I mean, so for the WNBA, it was an average scoring game. I've seen a lot of shots from both teams that I wouldn't have put up, that I didn't really like them putting up. But I see it in the NBA all the time as well. For some reason, when they put it up, it looked a lot worse um, in the sense of timing, and game management. It seemed like it was in a really bad time and place for that shot. But overall, I thought Indiana did a great job, especially, like I said, without Caitlin Clark, they did a great job, which I believe the announcer said last night that she's done for the season, if I'm not mistaken. So we won't get to see Caitlin Clark anymore this year.
She's done for the season. By the way, the Aces, before they started this run, they were at 14-14 on the season. They are now 29-14. They
They have ultimately turned it up and put the other teams on notice that they're going to be a force in the playoffs.
well, the Fever beat the Lynx last night, and the Lynx is supposed to be one like the second or third best team. And then the Liberty won last night, but the Fever won without Caitlin Clark. But the sad part is the Fever have been playing better without Caitlin Clark.
That
So
seems to be a consensus that I've heard from several people. And they played great team ball yesterday. I really liked what they were doing. They were moving the ball around, getting guys open. getting girls open. Excuse me. Um, they did a great job. I don't want to take anything away from what they did. The Mystics Liberty game. I am going to take away from one player right here because I would do this to a man. I'm going to do this to a woman. We don't want no discrimination here. Dolson, number 31. Where's my phone? I want to make sure I get her full name. She made me so mad yesterday, I didn't even want to look her up.
While you're looking up the name, what did she do you were unhappy with?
Stephanie Dolson. I want to post her film from last night so everybody in the world can see what she did. How are you a professional athlete and give that kind of effort? Surely the league is not doing that bad that they just let people in their league. Go watch the film last night. She came in off the bench, and she didn't know what she was doing. She didn't know she was slow. She was the slowest one on the court. She couldn't do her job, didn't know what she was doing or where she was going. How is this woman a professional athlete? She needs to get in the film room because the Mystics could have been in that game with the New York Liberty last night if it wasn't for number 31. Number 31 put them in a hole last night that they could not dig out of, and it was bad. It went from a close ball game to being a 12-point ball game real quick.
The sad thing is when somebody's not doing their job on the court or on the field, it becomes very evident. You can't overlook it, can you?
Well, looking at her stats, she scored no points. She committed 5 fouls in 17 minutes, and she got 4 rebounds. So she committed a foul every 3 minutes she was on that court and scored no points. Does not look like a big effort there.
It says that she was an all-star, the number 6 pick overall.
Yeah. She was from Connecticut.
Damn, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, she was from Connecticut. She was on.
This is in here telling me everything that she does.
And Connecticut turns out some of the best women's basketball players. So,
hey,
you think she just had it?
That picture they got of her, though. That picture they got of her. Yeah, that ain't what she looked like last night.
You think it was just a bad performance, or you think it's just the way her mentality?
She looks slow.
Last night was bad. Like, to be honest with you, now that I'm looking at her stats and accolades, like, I feel really bad for dogging her the way I did. But I couldn't tell that these were her. That was not her. There was nothing that screamed All-American last night. The only All-American it looked like she screamed was at McDonald's.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. You know what? I can honestly, looking at there's one regular season game left. And then obviously the playoffs for the WNBA. And, that Western Conference, I don't think it's fair. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Because right now the 2 best teams in the basketball sit in that Western Conference, Minnesota and Las Vegas. And, I mean, if I was a fan, I'd want that to be the championship. I know New York has, their team, blah, blah, blah. I know Atlanta's leading the East, blah, blah, blah. But the 2 best teams in the WNBA right now is Minnesota and Las Vegas.
I don't know. I wouldn't say Minnesota's the best team. They didn't look good last night.
They did not look good last night.
If you look at Indiana going into that game, I didn't think that they were going to be able to compete. They didn't just compete; they dominated. I think Minnesota's in trouble.
I'm going to tell you what. This is something I've noticed since what's her face has been out for Indiana. and they just seem like they just have gelled a lot better. And I'm not trying to say anything negative towards Caitlin Clark by any means, but I mean they do. They look from the compared to the beginning of the year, they just look like a more gelled team than they were with Caitlin there. And Kelsey Mitchell has been the one of them that has been just leading them.
I can't
I
really speak
mean,
on
I
any
don't
of that
know.
because I didn't watch Caitlin Clark play. I didn't watch. I've not been
Well,
following the WNBA like that.
here,
My Aces went on a
I
15 game
haven't
run, and that's about the
here's
only thing I followed.
here's the thing though. Here's a big one though, Brandon. Just something that I noticed looking at the 3-point shot last night. Okay, there wasn't on the Pacers. There wasn't one player that took over 5 threes. I do know for a fact almost every game that Caitlin Clark has played since she's come into the NBA, WNBA, it's anywhere from 8 to 10 3-point shots tried a
That's all
game.
we want her to do. That's literally why
Yeah,
we're
but
choosing.
she's their point guard though. That they have her at their point
She's
guard.
got to play better basketball.
Yeah. So I just think that's a key. That they're as I'd like to say they're throwing the ball around and not playing hero ball. They're passing the ball.
yeah.
They're moving.
And that's going
So
back to something my wife said when we watch women's college basketball compared to men bas- basketball, it's a lot more fundamental in women's. She said that most of the
it
time.
is. It is. We've had this discussion before because, like I just said with the fever, nothing against Caitlin Clark. Just like she can sit there and shoot it from the logo, but when she's sitting there checking up threes from the logo, and you got your inside people presence trying to trying to get position to get the ball, you're not passing the ball around. That's not fundamental. Fundamental is not shooting from the
No,
logos.
you're right.
Finish what you were saying, Rodney.
No, I was finished. I was saying that ultimately, my wife and I, when we watch the women's college basketball, because she loves the women's sports compared to the men's, women seem to be more fundamental in the game, where men, she don't like the men's because she feels like they stand around so much, hold the ball, and try to do the one-on-ones a lot more.
No, I agree. That WNBA game, I thought the ball moved around a hell of a lot more than in a men's game. That's absolutely true. That ball was constantly moving yesterday. It was 1, 2, 3, get off of it. 1, 2, 3, get off it. And to be honest with you, I wish we'd see more pro players doing it. Like I like Jalen Brunson. I don't like watching the Jalen Brunson show. When you get OG Anunoby
Yeah.
and Josh Hart involved, the Knicks play a really good brand of basketball. When you have
You know,
LeBron dishing it out, and you had before we had the AD trade, when you had Rui Hachimura and AD, and you got your point guard Austin, and then you got Austin Reeves getting involved, and you have all 5 guys getting involved. It's a lot different basketball than when you're watching the Lucas show. It's a lot different,
yeah.
and it's gonna get. It's always
you,
that
you
way.
know that is something about being a Lakers fan that frustrated me when they made that trade. And it's not because I don't like Luka as a player, but LA went from having one ball dominant person to having two ball dominant people, and had went from having the biggest person that cries for fouls to the two biggest people that cry for fouls. And it's like, are having one person with being ball dominant is hard enough. Having two, when they're moving that ball, they look crisp, they look great. But then when you got that ISO play every other time down the court, and the shot clock's getting down to 5, 4, you're not getting a good shot.
No, and that's one of the things that I thought the women did a better
I
job of yesterday. They there was only about 3 or 4 bad shots that I can recall that I didn't like. Everything else was moving the rock and getting an open shot. And I'm gonna be honest, watching the WNBA game last night, it actually was a better brand of basketball. It just wasn't as high scoring.
As a basketball coach, my I always there was a couple phases of a game that I always preached. The first being move the ball, because there is not a team in any league that wants to sit there and have to keep moving their feet like that all game long. Number two, it's called a free throw for a reason. You know what? Them are free points. There should be no reason you don't make those. And I mean, I preach those two things, and but you would still have somebody go out. We get a lead, and I'd have one of my guys, it'd always be the same one, want to play hero ball, and I'd have to pull him off the court, and we'd have a 10-point lead, and guess what? It's gone in less than a minute.
And you said something there. Free throws. As a fan of the game, that's the most painful thing to watch sometimes. You know that they're going to make, that they should be automatic, everything, and it's 2 seconds left in the game. You got to have both free throws to win the game or even tie the game, and they always seem to go 1 for 2 or 0 for 2. And for me, what, honestly, so many heartbreaking games have come down to that, and it's the sickening than hearing the coaches say, well, we did what we could. No, you didn't.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. I had a guy, and I love him to death. I still talk to him and stuff today, but we would have free throw contests and stuff like that. This guy would make 5 out of 10 from the free throw line, and then he would go back to the 3-point line and make 8 or 9 or 10 out of 10. And I finally told him one day, I said, in a game, the first time you shoot a free throw or first time you miss a free throw, you're done shooting threes. And he thought I was joking because he got fouled on a layup, goes up 0 for 2 on the free throws. Next possession down, the point guard throws it to him. He chucks it from 3, makes it, and does his thing. And I subbed him out, and he come back, and I said, he's like, I just made a 3. I said, and it should have been 5 points because you just missed 2 free throws. I said, I'll take the 5 points instead of your logo 3. And he's like, and I said, I wasn't joking. I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm not trying to be whatever, but I'm not playing this. If you can't make free throws, I'm not sitting here letting you chuck the ball from 3-point land every chance you get.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree.
So it's mental.
I'm gonna disagree with you hardcore right now.
I know, but you know what? I had to do that with them because I'm going to tell you what.
3 points is better.
He would, dude. It is, but when this guy is a guard and he's shooting less than 50% from the free throw line and his average from 3 is 50%, he cost us some games at the end because of not being able to make free throws. And I'm like, I didn't care what my team did. We were making free throws.
I mean, it sounds like you should have had him shooting free throws in the gym during practice.
Oh, he was. Oh, we had it. We had competition every day. Every day. And every person was different. However, we'd shoot 10. If you were 5 out of 10, that's 5 up and backs. If you missed 1. If you went 0 for 10, I guess you're going to be puking because you're doing 10 full court up and backs. I wasn't playing when I said. And then after they did the 10 up and backs, they'd get back on the free throw line. I mean, that's just how I am. Free throws are a very important part of the game. And people, watching it on like NBA and college is horrendous.
And for me, watching it, when you get the technical fouls and they're up there by themselves, it seems harder to make the free throws compared to when everybody's on the line. Do y'all know? I mean, am I the only one that notices that?
I mean, I was watching the free throws yesterday. That girl missed 2 of them in a row. It wasn't even close. They bounced hard off the back of the rim. And no, I was pretty irritated with it. I mean, free throws are huge. Where I disagree with Corey, and it's not even a big deal because everybody coaches different. I'm not gonna pull him in. I'm not gonna pull him out of the game. He's gonna have suicides at practice. We're gonna run it out of him in practice. I'm not gonna make my teammate suffer because this bonehead can't make a free throw. I'm gonna make him suffer because he can't make a free throw.
He got to run. Trust me, it was funny. But like I said, he's now a police officer in Clinton, and he made the comment. He goes, "You remember the running?" And I was like, I won't be over in Clinton anytime soon. And he started laughing, joking around. But I was like, hey, the kid is a great athlete. He could pitch in baseball. He could shoot the lights out of the ball. But for some reason, when he got to that free throw line, it was like I'm almost a 50-year-old man sitting there beating him in free throws. So, I mean, that's my biggest thing. If my team couldn't beat me in free throws, we had an issue. Because when I was coaching, it'd been a while since I picked up a basketball. But that's just something I've always been. Just the little things in the games, just little things for me.
I don't know. I spent a lot of time in the gym working on free throws, but I could dunk it. I could drop it from behind the arc.
Yeah.
I can shoot a three. I'm about 50% at the free throw line. But I can shoot a three. Crazy.
Yeah,
I worked. That was the one part of my game I worked on, and I just never good at it.
Well, you know what? If you worked on it, would be one thing. But like I told him, I said, if you're not going to at least try, then because I'm not going to have him in. I want him in when a close game because you got a chance at a three. But if that other team knows that he sucks at the free throw line,
yeah,
it's like, yeah. And it wasn't like he was a big guy either. It was he's 6'6". But like I said, it was just like it was frustrating.
All right, so we got about 30 minutes left. I'm gonna get into football a little bit. Rodney's been dying over here to get into football because he didn't do his homework last night.
No, I couldn't do my homework. I didn't have access to the games. So I apologize.
We don't need your excuses. The ladies don't want to hear your excuses on why you couldn't watch the game. They don't want to hear your excuses. This is excuse free. Anyway,
Ronnie, you could have, because if I'm not mistaken, Tubi TV carries Ion TV.
I was watching it from the ESPN app last night. I was watching it from the ESPN app last night.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying Tubi TV is free.
Literally, my son was watching marbles on the TV, and I'm watching it on my laptop.
All right, I dropped the ball, okay? All of America, I dropped the ball. I swear it'll never happen again.
We're going to name you Ball Dropper.
Oh, can it?
Anyway, looking at this week's schedule, there are a lot of division matchups in week 1 and week 2. Basically, almost everybody is going to get out of the division this week. Commanders play the Packers on Thursday night. Both of those won. We're going to get into that game here in just a minute. But one of the games that I want to talk about, and fans may get tired of it, may not get tired of it, but it's kind of a homer take. Giants-Cowboys. Who is under the most pressure to win week 2?
I'll say the Giants, because watching that game, Russell Wilson looked awful. We called it what it was. That was awful performance. And New York's already going to be clamoring for the rookie because of the media. So and Dayball, we all said could be on the hot seat. So you know what? Ultimately, we gotta see where this goes, and I really believe with the defensive line of Dallas, the way they played against Philadelphia, it could end up being a nightmare for New York if they keep that pressure on. What do y'all think?
I think Dallas has more pressure because they they could be a playoff team. Period. They could, and their defense did step up when it came up against the run. We got to see Dak Prescott distribute the ball. We need to see CeeDee Lamb take the butter off his fingers. Um, but I mean, with that division, if Dallas goes 0-2, you know, I seen the stat and I can't remember it, but it's not does not look good for making the playoffs. And we've seen how fast it rolls downhill for Dallas. New York, yeah, it could be. New York. I don't know. There's a lot of pressure on. I think Dale Ball, but I think it's more meaningful to Dallas to get the win than New York.
I don't know. I don't. I mean, obviously, one of them's going to be right, one of them's going to be wrong. But I feel like for the Giants, if they lose to the Cowboys, then they go to Kansas City. I'm not 100% sold on the Eagles. I like the Commanders. What's gonna matter is what the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Commanders can do outside of the division, and what Philly can do outside of the division, as well as inside the division. I don't think the Commanders are world beaters. I think they're really good, but I don't think they're. I don't think they're not the team in the NFC, but I don't think that they are the team in the NFC. If that makes any sense, I think that the Commanders, the Rams, the Packers, anybody really in the NFC East, the Bucks, it's really anybody's game in the NFC. If that makes any sense. The
It
Commanders
does.
starting off 0-3, or the Giants starting off 0-3, would be a lot worse than the Cowboys starting off 1-2.
I
Who
can
does Dallas have next week, Brandon?
see that while
Go ahead.
I looked up to your point, Corey. Since
The Bears.
playoffs banded in 2020 to 14 teams, only two teams have started 0-2 and went to the playoffs. Cincinnati in 2022 and Houston in 2023. Only 6% of the teams have gone 0-2 and made the playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean,
Since
here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. I love your stat. Don't get me wrong. This is a new year. When the 22
okay.
when the 22 Bengals did it, they said it had never been done. It'll never be done. It's been done. Clean slate, new year.
Oh, definitely, because
So
last time it was done in 2023, though. That was
hang on.
2 years.
I'm gonna land my plane right here, Bird. Eagles. Eagles don't look like the Eagles last year. Would you agree?
No, we definitely agree.
Okay. The Bears. The Bears look any good?
They look like straight. I can't even.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it's straight trash,
The
but I can't
Vikings. The
say
Vikings
trash.
beat the Bears, but they were losing for 3/4 of that game. How good
Yeah,
are the Vikings?
that's yet to be determined.
You don't know.
Panthers. We thought the Panthers were going to do something. You're probably going to be more closer to your floor. Saints. I was really low on the Saints. I'm a little higher on the Saints today than I was. A little higher on the Saints than I was. They scored 10 more points than I thought they would. Just being real. The Bucks and Falcons got better. Both of them got better. I was wrong about the Falcons. The Falcons got better. I think the Falcons are going to be good. The 49ers. The 49ers are in trouble. They just got rid of their kicker. George Kittle's on IR, right? Ricky Pearsall got shot in the chest last year, right? But he's not a true number one.
Yeah.
San Francisco's in some trouble. Seattle got beat by San Francisco. So how in trouble are they? Sam Darnold didn't look like Sam Darnold at Minnesota. And to be honest with you, I think he's got a better receiver room. He had a better receiver in Minnesota. But when you look at the room in Seattle, I think that's actually a better room. You got a Triple Crown winner. You got Jackson Smith and Jigba. You got a really good room up there in Seattle. Sam Darnold looked like just Sam Darnold to me. Or was I mistaken? Anybody else see that?
No,
Okay.
I saw it.
The Cardinals. What I tell you about the Cardinals? I said
You said
Saints week 1, and everybody's gonna be like, "We're back," because it's overhyped week 1, right? The only team that I was completely dead wrong about was the Colts, and they blew out a really bad Dolphins team, and it wasn't a blowout, right? So the NFC,
right.
the whole point with that is the whole NFC is up for grabs, but I think it's going to be easier to start off 1-2 than it's going to be to start off 0-3.
Oh, I agree with it.
I do agree.
I agree with that part. I'm looking at it as, me looking at it just as I'm looking at the Giants, and I am even going into the season. I thought that it would be a wash for the Giants this year because I don't like their coach, and I just besides Neighbors, I know you're high on the running backs, but they got to run the ball first.
No, that O-line, they did not answer any of my questions on the O-line. No, the Giants are in trouble.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And so that's why I'm looking at it as it's more important for the Cowboys. So they're at least 1-1, and mental wise.
but here's the thing. Schottenheimer's not going to get fired this year. Dave Ball might.
No.
No.
Wilson might be done. Done.
Like he should retire tomorrow, done.
Yeah. Jackson Dart is going to be the savior for the Giants. That's who they're going to praise. They're going to praise Jackson Dart. I'm not trying to have Dayball lose his job, but after bragging on how good of a coach he really was, he did the exact opposite of everything I bragged about him last year because this is a whole new year. He went completely reverse from everything I said that got him to where he was. I actually was really liking where the Giants were headed until I saw them on film. However, there is more pressure for the New York Giants than there are the Cowboys because we still have our quarterback. There's not a controversy down there. We still have our coach. There's not a controversy down there. And for 30 years, we still have our owner, and there's a whole lot of controversy there. So Cowboys are going to be the Cowboys and do Cowboys things. The Giants might be in an uproar.
That is hilarious.
Going back to what you just said about the Jackson Dart thing, do you think, let's say week 6 starting, do you think that New York media will still eat him up? I know you're saying week 4. I'm just
mark my words. If Russell Wilson does not beat the Cowboys, we will see Jameis Winston week 3, and we will see Jackson Dart week 4.
But
as the fire sale,
I could definitely see that one.
And everything must go.
But let me ask. But back to what I'm trying to say. do y'all think, as a young rookie, that media is going to make or break him as far as how he performs?
I want to answer this first, real quick, Brandon. And the reason I'm going to say no, and there's a reason behind me saying no. He's had the media pressure since he was in college. It might not have been directed at him, but remember, Lane Kiffin was his head coach. And, Lane Kiffin, there's always a media frenzy. But New York's media is different, but I think he's mentally tough enough to deal with the New York media, just like Eli Manning was.
The media is everywhere now. You
You
have
know,
access to it. We have access to it. Players have access to it. Everybody has access to it.
Yep.
Everybody has access to the players closer than they've ever had it. Jackson Dart is thriving in New York. Jackson Dart had a great preseason. Jackson Dart is ready for this moment. I'm telling you what is going to happen, which is we're going to see Russell. We're going to see Jameis Winston week 3 because they want to feel like they gave him a chance, and the noise is too loud in New York, and we're going to see Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart's not going to play well because they don't have an offensive line. Everybody thinks it's on. Okay, Russell Wilson holding the ball onto the ball too long was on Russell Wilson. That O-line breaking down was not on Russell Wilson, and that's not going to help Jackson Dart either. But it's going to start the fire sale, which is what they're trying to do anyway.
And that's the big thing you said, the offensive line is, they still don't have their starting left tackle who was injured from last year. He's still not playing yet. And that's a big piece they were missing.
You're right.
So,
Left tackle is one of the most important positions on that line. That protects that quarterback's blind side. And you know what? Where do we see quarterbacks getting hurt more from the blind side? Am I not right?
oh, yeah, when you get a pass rusher coming free, I mean, even with the new rule changes, that is that's one thing they light up for. That's Christmas morning for D lineman is if he can get to the quarterback unevaded.
Moving on.
What other game were you thinking about?
I would say moving on to a different game. Week 2, we have the 1-0 Chargers and the 1-0 Raiders on Monday night. Which team is under
I think that's going to be a
most
good game.
pressure to win and start off the season 2-0?
Now, I'm going to go back to what you just said on the Cowboys. Harbaugh's getting his system in. He had a winning record last year. This is Pete Carroll's first year. If I don't see either one of them having more pressure than the other, but I do see it being a big game for both. Obviously, if San Diego can go 2-0, that gives them they keep that game lead on KC if KC wins. So I think that's very important to them. But Vegas hasn't had nobody is expecting Vegas to go like that. So I just say neither one, but if I had to pick, I'd say Vegas.
I'm going to push back right there. I think it's more important for the Chargers. And here's why. The Chargers came out and totally showed the flaws in KC's game. Herbert was a massive piece to that. And what's been said about Herbert a lot, inconsistent. I think he's got to be more consistent, and ultimately having that win over KC, going 2-0 in the division, it's going to be huge.
Hey, we're recording film. We're recording film.
I didn't know.
Why didn't you tell me
did.
that?
I told everybody, but we didn't change the studio.
You didn't see that?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So at 104.
Yeah, 104. Dumbass lights one up.
I've hit my vape a few times, so
I'm not worried about the vape.
Anyway, yeah, can't do the
Listen,
other.
so
Anyways,
going back to this game, Rodney, I don't know where you were going with it. I liked where you were starting to go. I agree with you. I think it's the Chargers. I think the Chargers are under the most pressure here. For some of what you said, I think John Harbaugh, in order to keep pressure off of him and to keep the media off of Justin Herbert and off of John Harbaugh, I think it is more important for them to win. I think that this one game lead over Kansas City is going to be hard to maintain with the Broncos being as good as they are. And whatever team falls behind this game is basically going to push them even with Kansas City.
go ahead, Corey. I'm looking back to that.
that is like I said, I'm just hard at this game. I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be huge for whichever team gets to a 2-0 lead, 2-0 record with to get that game up on KC and Denver. If Denver, I be up there, I just have a hard time because both of them, Harbaugh, there's no trouble there. But I like what Herbert has in the receiving room now. I like the Keenan Allen's back. I think that was a huge backup.
I agree. I really liked it. I wish they would have had Mike Williams still. Seeing him retire, that sucked. But the three of them back together, like the three of those, Ladd McConkey, Williams, and Keenan Allen, would have been great for Herbert. Which you kind of got me into my next biggest game. For me is the Colts Broncos.
Where's that at?
It's at Indianapolis.
You know what? I like Indianapolis's offense.
I do too.
They've got the line.
I like their defense.
They do have the line. They've got receivers. That the tight end Warren he could have been a top 4 pick easily.
He should have been.
And obviously Jonathan Taylor is Jonathan Taylor as long as he stays healthy. Denver, I like Denver. I do. When it comes down to who it means more to, I'm going to have to say it's more important for Denver with them being in the West, because we've talked about the South, in both AFC and NFC. And I think if Indy lost, they still have a easier path to the playoffs than Denver would going 1-1.
I won't disagree with that. I feel like it's equally as important for both teams, and because for the Colts, you want to ride the momentum, because that was a dominating win against the Dolphins. You want to see the consistency, again, that word, going into week 2, knowing what you have with your team. But also, Bo Nix did not have a great game on the other side. And you know what? We talk about sophomore slumps and we talk about consistency with quarterback. That's equally as important to show that he's not going to slump or whatever, because the way that team's built, Bo Nix is a key to that team. And honestly, they're going to go as far as Bo Nix will take them, with that defense being revamped and the run game they have. And you got the receiver. What's his name? Cortland Sutton. And those guys. So I think it's going to be equally as important. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I don't agree with you at all, Bird. It's not as equally as important. It is way more important for the Broncos to win this game than it is for the Colts. I'm sorry. If you look at who the AFC South plays that week, you've got Jacksonville going to Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati should easily win that game. You got the Broncos going to the Colts. That's if the Colts win that game, it's going to put them 2-0, which will give them a game ahead of everybody else. But you look, the Titans lost. Jacksonville, like I said, they're playing Colts, Jacksonville. I'm missing one. The Texans. The Texans are playing at home, but they're playing against Tampa Bay, right? That offense, I don't see going against that defense. Now, the Texans' defense was pretty good. If Baker can, I think Atlanta is better than the Texans. I'm just going to keep it a buck. What I saw, Atlanta offensively and defensively just looked like a better team. I know it's week one. I know that we can't put everything in week one. Miami, we knew was going to be bad. These guys didn't even come out as break dancers. They just came out bad. So there was no illusion to how bad they were going to be this year. They just straight came out bad. So
They ruined your break dancers.
yeah. So I mean, even if the Colts go 1-1 starting off, they're still actually in command of that division because they're going to be with the Jags as well at 1-1.
I would agree with you on that. I want to go back to something real quick. We were talking about the Chargers. I looked at the schedule after the Raiders. They play the Broncos next.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Ultimately, that if they can get to the Broncos and win, they'd be 3-0 in that division. Think about that. That is, that's a statement. Those next two games are statement wins to go 3-0 in that division this early in the year.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's more pressure on the Chargers to win this week.
I agreed. We said the Chargers.
I know.
Corey did.
I was at the schedule.
I agreed with you. I think the Raiders are fighting for third place. I don't think the Raiders are real, true Super Bowl contenders right now. I think they have a better chance than they've had, but I still don't think that they are true contenders. The Chargers look like they might be true contenders in the AFC. Time will tell. I'm still not 100% sold on Justin Herbert. The Broncos, if they can manage a 3-game lead, a 3-0 going in and having a game above Kansas City, that's going to make Kansas City really hard to travel into Denver and steal back that game. I believe that they'll split with Denver, but to have to sweep them, that's going to be tough. It's going to be tougher for them to sweep. Well, they're not going to be able to sweep the Chargers, but they have a chance at their real home stadium to do so. They won't have it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I just want to get that Raiders thing there because those are you playing the whole division in the first 3 weeks. That's
the only must-wins I think that are on this week's schedule. I think the Broncos are in a must-win situation against the Colts, and I think the Chargers are in a must-win situation against the Raiders. That is the only way that you're going to be able to keep Kansas City down. Outside of that, I think every single one of these teams can bounce back. The Ravens, they might start off 0-2, but they can go on a 15-0 run. The Jets and the Bills. The Jets, I see starting off 0-2, and they're just going to have a hard time in that division because they're going to have a hard time. The Bills, I thought were going to have 5 losses at home. I still got a chance for 4. How they managed to pull that Ravens game out, I still will never know. I think John Harbaugh is the coach that is on the hottest seat in the house. I know the Ravens won't fire him mid-season. Okay, I know that won't happen. But I honestly think that at this point, it is Super Bowl or bust for John Harbaugh. If he does not get the Super Bowl this year, he's gone. I don't care how many people like him. I don't care what you think his coaching is. I don't care what you think his tenures is. The only one that can get by with skating to the playoffs is going to be Mike Tomlin. And he just did it with a 40-year-old quarterback. After everybody said that he was going to have a losing record for the first time ever.
Yeah. I agree. I do agree with you on that. The sad part is I don't know when it comes to, a lot of these wins or busts going into week 2. You know, I'm going to tell you one team at the win or bust, and I don't think they win. Is if the about fire sale. I have a feeling if Miami goes 0-2, there's going to be a lot of people talking fire sale about the trading, and it could be the coach also
Who? Miami?
because yeah, Miami.
Oh no, Miami's done. That coach is gone. That team's broke up. That's over with.
Well, I'm talking about in season. We were talking about think Harbaugh. I think Miami would get rid of their coach in season.
Miami's not a great organization. You
And
can
it,
tell.
Haven't been since Shula.
no, you're right. It hasn't been since Shula, but you know what? They've had some good players come through there since Shula left, but really, they haven't put all the pieces together.
No, I this week is gonna. This week, I think week one told us a little bit, but I think week two is going to give us a little bit, you know, more of answers, and I think we're going to see better play. I think week one was just sloppy all around, and I think whatever teams can, you know, shore that stuff up is going to tell us a lot.
Yeah. Well, guys, let's get to the one that matters the most. The one that's playing tomorrow. Okay. And we're gonna further break this down tomorrow. But looking at the Thursday matchup, Commanders Packers. Uh, both of these teams are want to know who is under the most pressure to win week two, Commanders or Packers.
I'm going to go with the Packers because ever since they got Micah, you hear Packer fans saying Super Bowl or bust, pretty much. That was the one piece missing to take them to the Super Bowl, which we all three disagree with that. But so I'm just going to say, fan wise, division wise, it's Washington, but totally it's the Packers.
Yeah, I don't care about the fans' feelings at all. It is
I know.
absolutely the Commanders, and it's not even close. The Packers can lose this game, still be 1-1 in the division, and be leading the division. If the Commanders go 1-1, that's going to leave the Eagles with the only possibility of being undefeated, depending on how they do against the Chiefs. The Chiefs didn't look good. I'm still taking the Chiefs in this game because I think the receivers are better than the DBs. Jalen Carter is going to be back. I'm really nervous about Patrick Mahomes and that O line. But for me, the Commanders, if they can if they can start off 2-0, they've got a chance to really take command of the NFC East, and it's going to be really hard to stop them at home or on the road. Dan Quinn's got them playing really good. They've got a good offense, good defense. They're really good on paper. They got a good offensive coordinator, got a good DC. I like everything that Washington has done up to this point. When they had Sam Howell, I looked at my wife and said they're a quarterback away. She didn't believe me. She said the Commanders weren't going to do anything. And I said they're going to go to the playoffs. And sure enough, they went to the NFC Championship game. I knew they were only a quarterback away. Now it's can we put it together?
And I'm going to echo what you said, putting it together. I mean, we know that New York was a dumpster fire. You're stepping up a lot going against Green Bay. You got a legitimate. You got.
I'm not gonna let you do that because that defense, the Giants' defense, played lights out. And
No, I'm not
Russell
disagreeing.
Wilson
I'm
didn't
saying
get
that.
the ball.
Well, let me change that. Offensively, the Giants were a dumpster fire, and you know what? You guys sit there and see where you are stepping up at the level of competition to that point, and putting it together 2 weeks in a row, going against arguably probably one of the best defenses in the NFC, up there with the Eagles and all. I feel like that they will end up. They just need that win more than the Packers for that reason.
Yeah. This game is going to determine seeding in the playoffs right here. Just so y'all know. This is
I kind of agree with that. I
I
do.
will agree with that as well. And it's so funny to see that in a week 2 game, isn't it?
It's so weird to be able to say that in a week 2 game.
That's what I'm saying.
Who's the Panthers play this week?
Another sleeper game, Arizona Cardinals, I believe.
Well, that's going to be a good matchup.
Okay.
That's going to be a good game. I'm actually really excited about that game.
I just didn't know who they played.
Yeah, no, I'm actually really excited about that game. The Arizona Cardinals versus the Carolina Panthers. That's a toss-up game to me.
I think if Arizona offense plays like it did last week, I'd see Arizona with
I don't
that
know. We're
one.
getting too close to November for me.
I'm gonna.
So,
But all right, we're gonna touch on this game tomorrow. This episode was brought to you in part by Styles Apparel, Styles with a Z, where we keep you in style. Heaven Sent Hellbent Gear, hshbgear.com. Get your 15% off promo code married. And W Energy, get your 10% off with promo code married. You get a nice little shaker that comes with your stuff. The energy drinks are really good. And then by Liquid Nitro. And so we'll be getting our shipment of that in pretty soon. Excited to bring that on as well. Thank you guys for stopping by. Appreciate you. If you could do me a favor and hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel and the follow button on the Spotify channel, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you all so much. Peace.
Peace.
see ya.